Yo, what is up, guys? I've got a Ranged DPS tier list for Mythic Plus for 10.1.5. I'll be using data from the highest keys completed on Raider.io, comparison between the highest IO for specs, DPS performance in Mythic Plus on Warcraft logs, and take into account tuning and reworks for 10.1.5 as best as I can. There are more changes with the ranged classes than any other roles, even melee DPS, so I'll do my best to highlight parts of the reworks that will play into WoW rank some specs where I do. Keep in mind that tuning and changes happen all the time, so the rankings are bound to change. I'll do my best to stay on top of the changes as I can, so hit that sub button. Should be a ton of fun. I'm really looking forward to this. To explain the tier list, if you're new to the tier list here, we got S gods here. This is the best of the best specializations. We're seeing it played at the highest level. They bring so much to your team, whether that's utility, single target damage, AoE, whatever they have in their toolkit, they are phenomenal. A is awesome, maybe a little bit weaker, whether that's, funnel damage, single target damage, AoE, doesn't bring quite to the same toolkit as these other specializations, but very good, still seeing it at a high level. B, really good overall, just maybe has some more clear weaknesses from these other two, whether that's, survivability, single target damage, AoE, whatever that is, but still very viable. C is meh, needs probably some tuning to bring up to these other levels. Something to change to make them more viable, but you can still play them. D is help me. Oh my god, needs a rework, something significant to change. Fortunately, no specializations are down here. And D, which I love that. It's not like Shadowlands or anything like that, which is good. But I want to say too that every specialization is doing really well. Play whatever you really enjoy. Every single spec you can play. If you're doing plus 20s, plus 21s, plus 22s. I think only when you start pushing really high content Mythic Plus will you see that fall off. And you probably need to play something that's higher up on this, on the tier list. So let's jump right into it. To kick things off, we've got Shadow Priest. They belong in S tier, guys. They are phenomenal. They are the best ranged DPS in the game. I don't see that changing anytime soon. They're completing the highest keys, the highest level, and almost every high key you're seeing, there's a Shadow Priest. They're bonkers right now. Okay, so recent tuning nerfed their AoE slightly, but buffed their single target damage. They're still doing great single target damage, great AoE. It's awesome. They're very useful to bring a majority of keys. You've got Mind Soothe, Stamina buff, off heals, decent survivability, Power Infusion, which is still overpowered. They're very, very OP, very, very good and fun. It isn't changing anytime soon. Next up, we got the Mage specializations. There's a lot happening with these three specs. Each one of them are getting a rework in 10.1.5. So I'm going to cover little changes that are happening with each one and why I'm placing them where I am. But I will post where the changes down below in the description. You guys can check out on Wowhead. There's a ton of information, but I'll do the best I can. So we're going to mention utility for all three, then I'll rank each one. So you got each one of them. We're bringing Bloodlust, right? We got AoE CC. You have Slows. You have Root. You have Poly for Incorporeal or other ads. You've got Spell Steal. With the rework, they're all getting a mass barrier for the group, mass invisibility for the group. There's no more Rune of Power, so their AoE and single target damage will be much more consistent. They have a new talent to replace Ice Block, and it also gives the defensive power to lower damage by 70%. You're no longer like stuck there and vulnerable, but it seems super helpful. You can move around, still cast, and all that. Many more changes that would literally take me like an hour, so I'm going to cover Fire first. Fire is S tier for sure. I do not think they're as good as Shadow Priest. I don't think that will change as we see this season progress unless there's more changes, but they are going to be phenomenal. I am not kidding. Fire is getting Flame Strike, a baseline for the rework. They've got a new build involved around Unleashed Inferno instead of Sun King's Blessing. They got buffs to a lot of abilities, nerfs to a couple. Kindling now causes Scorched crit strikes to reduce combustion CD. Like I said, I'll post all the changes in the description below, but they are completing the highest keys at the moment right now. They were busted before the rework. They're going to be busted after. They're so freaking good. Next up is Frost. Frost 100% belongs in A tier, guys. They're just doing phenomenal. They're bringing the same utility I already mentioned, but Icy Veins is becoming much more valuable. Feels like Fire with Combustion and Arcane Surge with Arcane. Blizzard and Cold Snap are now baseline. No longer have to choose a talent. They're removing Ebb and Bolt from the talent tree. There's a lot of damage adjustments. I highly suggest watching Manaether. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but his channel is phenomenal. He does guides for every single mage specialization. He covers tuning. He knows his class so freaking well. He's who I go to for mage changes. I suggest checking him out. I'll leave his channel in the description below. Seriously, he just did a guide for Frost 2 for 10.5. It looks phenomenal. I haven't watched it yet, but I will be here very soon because I will be playing my mage without a doubt. Next up is Arcane. I'm going to put high B tier. I think they're going to be really good, but I don't think they're going to be as consistent as Fire or Frost overall. The rework adds some benefit for Arcane for clear casting for AoEs. Causes Arcane Explosion to echo for 40% of damage. Clear casting is baseline now. Arcane power is removed. There's a few other changes. I could see this Arcane moving up a little bit more, but I literally, Frost looks freaking bonkers from all the content I've watched from the PTR, anything like that, and tested a little bit out, and then Fire is going to be phenomenal. Holy shit. I still think Arcane's gonna be good. You're gonna see it at the higher level, but I don't think it'll be performing as well as these. If you guys play Arcane Mage, feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to know why. Give me a good reason, maybe if you think they belong in a higher spot. Okay, so next up, let's go with Balanced Druid. Balanced Druid is absolutely bonkers. I believe they're highest A tier. They're getting some more changes here too with 10.1.5, but they're really good beforehand. They're completing the highest keys. So let's first off mention what they bring in their toolkit, which is a lot. They've got Mark of the Wild, you've got Battle Res, you've got good survivability between Bear Form swapping, Bark Skin, Off Healing, Nature's Vigil, you have Stampeding Roar, you have AoE Silence with Solar Beam, Ursul's Vortex for lockdown on mobs, Typhoon. I'm not kidding. They're completing some of the highest keys with that toolkit. Why not? You know, like really good all around with DPS. They bring good single target and fantastic AoE. They really shine in higher content. You know, as does Fire. Fire and Balance are kind of that same way. Higher content you push, the better usually that they do. But they better be freaking good because they've had more changes than I feel like any other specialization. It's absolutely crazy. They're also changing up some stuff in their skill tree too with 10.1.5. They want to make Stellar Flare more of a competitive option. They're reducing the duration of Ashen Smolder and adding a super cool talent that will buff either your damage and healing during the day or versatility at night, which seems pretty fun. I'm curious to see how viable that will be later on. So next up, let's go with the Evoker specializations. Okay, we're going to start off with Devastation. Devastation I think is right around the same level as probably Frost, but they are doing really good. Okay, you've got Zephyr is amazing, Bloodlust is really good, great mobility, Rescue, AoE stun with Deep Breath, Knock Up, and Knock Back. They're crazy. They're working on changing the difference between the targets with more health versus low health because of Giant Killer, so they've reduced it by 20%, but buffed all their other abilities by 6.5% to make up for that. They're still going to be really good. Should be a very solid option. Definitely staying in A tier, and from what I've seen, it plays very well with Augmentation, which I think is going to be a big factor this season in Mythic Plus. Augmentation, guys. Augmentation is for sure going into A tier. I don't know for. I mean, we won't know until we see the highest pros players push them at the highest content. We see more gameplay actually on live, which I'm very excited. So we'll keep an eye out for an updated tier list, which I probably will make once we see more of what the specialization could do with other specs. But holy crap, guys! You still got Zephyr, right? Bloodlust. You've got great mobility. You're still bringing Rescue, AoE stun, Deep Breath, all that, Knock Up, Knock Back. But this spec is no doubt going to be insane. I'm almost positive it's going to be at least A. It could even be S tier later on. I'm not sure. But they are damage dealers focused on using the Bronze and Black Dragonflight to buff and empower their allies. Kind of like our first support spec. They've got Ebb and Might, which will buff 4 nearby allies' primary stat for a percentage of your own. 2 attunements to increase health or movement speed. You got Breath of Ions or Eons, which literally exposes enemies to your allies' damage and then crits the enemy for that amount. This spec is going to be bonkers, and it does a lot more for your allies too. That's just a few of the changes. It would take me a lot longer to cover the specialization as a whole. I'm sure it's going to be better to pair with some specs over others, like I mentioned, but holy crap, I'm excited for the specialization. It's going to be so freaking good. Next up, let's do Warlocks. We're going to put Destruction in A tier. They're doing phenomenal. They're completing the highest keys in the game right now compared to the other specializations. They're super tanky. You've got Gateway, Hellstones, which come in clutch. You got Curses, which are really handy if used well. You got Battle Res. Same for the other two specializations. They're not getting really any changes, but they're performing so well, they don't need it. They're fun to play, very good in AoE and single target. Punishing if you have to move, but makes up for how well they're performing. They have the highest IO of all the of the three specializations. They're bonkers. Absolutely insane. Next up is Demo. I'm going to put in B tier. It's really freaking good. It's got the same utility that you're bringing there. It's really good for single target damage. It's really good for single target damage. Good AoE. I just think Destro performs better overall. It's less punishing if you have to move, so it might be good in certain Mythic Plus dungeons and certain fights in the raid too. But they're adding new talents. They want there to be more casting Shadow Bolt and changing Demon Bolt to feel more impactful. They're lowering Dreadstalker's performance and buffing a lot of other abilities to compensate for that. It should be great. I think they're going to be high B tier for sure, if not maybe low A later on in the season, but right now definitely B tier specialization. For Affliction, guys, they belong in C tier for sure. They're one of the lowest performing DPS specs in the game. You're still bringing the same utility, but if you're bringing a DPS or Warlock, you're bringing Destro for sure, or maybe even Demonology. I hope something changes. They've got a new talent coming in 10.1.5 that buffs Unstable Affliction. They're redesigning Dread Touch to cause targets to take more damage from your dodge, which seems really cool. I could see this spec rising up, but I think they need some more tuning changes to see that happen. I need to cover more Warlock changes. If you guys are super interested in the changes that are happening with them and Warlock content, I highly suggest Kalamazzi. If you don't know him, I'll leave his channel down in the description below. But man, he does such a freaking good job with Warlock. It's crazy. Okay, so next up, let's go with Hunters. A Hunter, I believe, belongs in BM Hunters, probably B tier. I think it's right around the same thing here. I think it's going to be right with Arcane. They bring good group utility. You've got Misdirection, Freeze Trap, Bloodlust, Binding Shot, Sentinel Owl. Doing pretty damn good in single target and AoE. I think if their survivability didn't have such long cooldowns, I think they're super squishy, especially when you're pushing higher content. But their rotation is easy to pick up and fun to play. It's a solid choice if you're looking to go into the season. Again, if you're pushing, plus 21s, plus 22, plus 23s, you'll be perfectly fine with this. They're doing pretty well. Marksmanship, on the other hand, it's low B, high C. I mean, it's right around here. It brings the same utility you have, but it's just not doing as well in single target or AoE damage, even compared to BM Hunter. But there's no way they're performing as well as these other specializations right now. I hope to see them changing here soon. I'm honestly thinking that the next 10.1.7 or 10.2 is going to change, have some reworks for Rogue and for Hunters. I hope that happens because holy crap, they're underperforming. For sure. Next up, guys, Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman is doing so freaking good. I think they're right around the same level as Frost will be, or with Augmentation Evoker, around Destruction level. They're doing so good. I don't know why I haven't seen more of them, but I think it's because Enhancement is performing so well. But yeah, Quick Interrupts, Bloodlust, AoE Stun, Knock Up, Group Healing with Ancestral Guidance, Reincarnation. Not a super, a ton of super impactful changes here, except for off healing. They've got changes with total mana cost for abilities, and nerf. They have a nerf to Ancestral Guidance, which was a big part of why Enhance was really good. But they're performing very well. I would like to see more of them. Maybe I'll pick mine back up, but they're a ton of fun. Definitely belong in A tier for how they're performing so far. But that's it for the tier list, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was a ton of fun to make. This is where I stand with a lot of these specializations. I think Fire and Shadow are going to be absolutely crazy. Augmentation is going to be at least A tier. We could see it rise up. Hopefully we see, Marksmanship and Affliction get some buffs or tuning soon, because good lord. I want Affliction to do so much better, guys. I would love for this specialization to be like a high A tier S, man. I'd play that shit so much. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And we'll be having a healer DPS tier, or a healer tier list come up here soon. I'm just testing some stuff out in the PTR. Excited for the changes. And Holy Paladin is getting a crazy rework. It's gonna be super fun. So thank you guys. I'll catch you next time. Peace.